There are 6 things you will experience after marriage. Get your seat close. Let's talk. My name is Oblinks. Welcome to my channel, Natural Law, Fact and Truth. Okay, today we'll be looking at the 6 things that you're going to experience after marriage. Now, these particular 6 things are things that are very, very essential. As a single that is warming up to go into marriage, if you don't like these things, if you can't manage with these things, then don't get married. Number one is after you have gotten married, after like 1-2 kids, your wife will definitely add. So if you're the type that says that I don't like fat girls, I don't want, if my wife is this and that, I know go feed them, then you should get ready, to begin to appreciate fat people. Definitely your wife will definitely add, no matter how skinny she is right now. After like 1, 2, 3 kids, if fat in most cases, after the first birth, if she doesn't take time during the omogo, she will explode. The fat fecundate too much. That's number one. Number two is that you will have to love stretch mark. You will have to love stretch mark. Nobody likes it. Probably, majority of persons don't like it, So there's every tendency that after your wife has given birth, she will begin to have stretch mark. It's not just the women alone. In most cases too, men. Maybe by then you don't chop what woman cook, so you don't feed very well, Before you leave in the morning, there is food on the dining. When you come back in the evening, there's always food for you to eat and feed very well, So at some point, if you begin add weight, if you don't take time as a man, if you're not a man who wants to take care of himself, who still wants to look, look good and stuff like that. If time not take it, if you know the person where they do gym, where they exercise, before you know it, you begin to add, and then there's every tendency that you will have stretch marks. So this one has to do with both the men and the women, even the fat too. Now that's where spec comes in. When you're going to marry a man or when you're going to marry a woman, you're looking for spec. After your wedding, of course, you looked at that person from the beginning before you accepted him or her. He was actually the standard of person you wanted. But these changes will definitely come. So the fats and the stretch marks works together. That's the number one and the number two. So these are 2 things that you're definitely going to see after marriage. The next one is snoring. Definitely, either the man or the woman will snore. Either the man or the woman will snore. If the woman doesn't snore, the man will snore. Now this snoring comes when you are beginning to gain weight. That's number one. Number two is stress. Sometimes when you have overworked yourself, you're working so hard for the children to be able to eat, to feed your family and the rest of that. When you come home in the night, you're tired. So there's every tendency that you will begin to snore. Now, your spouse might not be able to notice this thing during dating because the two of you are very busy, or you are not staying together rather, Now, this person comes and leaves, and then at the end of the day, you probably might not take your time to experience all of these things because you're not living together. So even when he snores during dating, it could be as a result of, this guy doesn't really snore like this. This one is not like this today. Maybe he overworked himself and stuff like that, So you go really reason them. And then sometimes we are blinded because of the love and the fact that I want to settle down. I want to marry this guy or I want to marry this lady, So we don't check all of these things. But you begin to experience this thing because you are now married. You're not living together. So snoring will definitely set in. So if you're the type that doesn't like snore, if someone is snoring close to you, you can't sleep there, then begin to get used to it, because by the time in marriage, there are certain things you don't do. If you have agreed to stay in the same room, stay there. When you start giving that gap from if in every little thing that you people want to, that you feel you can't manage with, you want to put a stop to it by, okay, let me get another room and stuff like that, that gap will begin to set in. And before you know it, if you get used to the gap, you might not really be attractive to each other again, or you might not really have time again. Remember, when husband and wife stay together in the same room, they can be able to settle their differences when they have issues because they are in the same bed. So it's easy for them to be able to relate at night than when they share separate rooms. So you should get used to snoring. That will definitely come. The next one is see-finish syndrome. See-finish syndrome will set in. That's number 4. See-finish syndrome will set in. The see-finish syndrome is very simple. All of those, have you eaten today? You call her every day, you call him every day to check up on him to know how he's doing, and all of that will no longer be there. So you begin to take your spouse for granted. There are certain things that you begin to overlook. You no longer care all of those love, those care, attention, and all of that, you begin to reduce it because this person is staying with you. So you've seen everything, like see finishing entirely. Now the hug, the kissing, the peck, and all of those things that you do, I miss you and all of that, when you're dating, you know how far. Maybe if she has stayed a week or two before visiting you, you will probably wait for her or go to pick her yourself, from her workplace or wherever, or if she's visiting in the house, either the guy or the girl, will always want to welcome her properly, make food for him or for her and stuff like that, give a special treat because your special one is coming, is visiting. So all of those attention and all of that you used to give at that time will begin to reduce. That is see finish syndrome. So a lot of things begins to change, so that's when you will now relate, like all of these things that we used to do before, and all of that. Now a lot of things is beginning to take your attention, the children, the things that has to do with your well-being and all of that has taken your attention. So you no longer care, you're no longer bothered much to know how your spouse is doing and all of that. So that's when somebody will begin to say you have changed and stuff like that. That is why it sounds like a shocking news these days when a man finish making call and tell his wife, "Honey, I love you." She go first shock. What's happened? Papa Emeka, I be then kidnap you. Who is there with you? She's curious. She just want to know because this thing doesn't come out often, So maybe something make her talk this kind of thing. Or a woman can't tell her husband after conversation, say, "Honey, I love you." That kind of thing go shock the man first. Waiting go ring for her head now to check whether I gave her and keep money for her, so this woman don't go collect or anyone use by trick, So you see how it is, and see finish and they bring these particular things. This particular process has been there right from time. So no matter how much you're loving each other now that you're still dating, I assure you once you get married, you will definitely change. So even the normal thank you when this one does something for you, and then the gratitude you're supposed to show, appreciation, and the rest of them will no longer matter to you, So in general, see finish brings a lot of things. So the attention and everything will drastically reduce because see finish don't enter. This person is staying with you. So you no longer show all those concern and all of those things where they put in there to make the relationship to work, because you are now in, because he's in, because she's in. Nobody cares anymore, So and if you don't take time, the love will begin to depreciate. But at some point the love might die, if you don't take time, if you don't find a means to be able to get these things and then create a space where the both of you can be able to relate well. If time is not taken, wahala go burst. In most cases, now this see finish syndrome, they cause divorce in most marriage. If you don't take time by then, wahala go burst, una go scatter. Number five is less sex activity. All of that time where the guy goes there for 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even 1 month before you see the person. When you catch the person, you want to kill yourself, you want to die on it and all of that. You could go like 3, 4, depending on how well the both of you relate sexually. So you find out that all of those things will begin to drop because not as if the urge will not be there, but sometimes you don't go walk, you don't tire, and this is someone you're staying with every day, so the attraction no go really there much there. And sometimes the woman no go come to the dress seductive again, and the guy most times if he come back, if you never bath, he go sleep. So every of those things, if you don't take time to manage it well, you find out that you no longer have the urge or the feelings because you are now busy. Those things doesn't matter to you anymore. So if you used to meet like sometimes if the person visits and she's staying for 2 or 3 days, and every night you are rolling, you find out that you can even stay with this person for 1 month, you've not even noticed that she's lying by your side or he's lying by your side, and then the reason is because you are now together. So the activity will definitely, in fact, it will reduce drastically, so that's basically how it is. That is how it works. And then number 6, you will definitely fight and quarrel. The fight can be verbal fight, but if you don't take time, it might result to a real fight. It is when you marry this person that you will now know that you married a bad wife. Of course, if you knew you were going to marry a bad husband or a bad wife, you won't continue. That's the truth. So you only find out in marriage. Yes, because while you were dating, you were blinded by love, So there are so many things. There are people that can pretend for long, even though to me, I'm sure that you can't pretend for so long. But there are people that can pretend for a longer time, And in fact, the summary of the whole thing is that that's when the real person you married comes out. When a man would now say, useless woman, I never knew you were like this. And the woman says, you're a useless man, I never knew you were like this. That's when the real person comes in. That's when, if you lack patience, that's when it comes in. The reason is because by the time the stress of life don't hit you, at some point, the first 10 years of your marriage, that's when you begin to understand each other. Or let's say 5 years. That's why somebody will say marriage of yesterday. They don't divorce. No. Now you really don't understand yourself too well when you're dating. You will understand it, let's say 50%. Believe me, ask people who are already married. Now you're trying to make it work, especially when you like this person physically, especially when you like this person's physique. Some of you who are looking at spec and the rest of that, so at some point there are too many things that would be hidden. There are too many things that will be covered that is going to uncover when you get married, because the see finish syndrome would then come out by then, and then you have nothing to lose. Use like, we're married, I have kids for you, and then the man brings out his real self. If he used to give you money for hair and all of those things by then, because he has to pay bills, so he will begin to curtail because he wants to invest, he wants to build a house and the rest of that, so if you're not careful by then, you begin to say, yeah, I never knew you were like this, I never knew you were like that, so it takes wisdom and understanding to be able to move to achieve your goals, like to stay together as husband and wife. Apart from that, the first 5 years or 10 years of your marriage, in most cases, is usually not smooth, because you're yet to understand. Oh, now I know say you really be stingy man. Now I really know say you be foolish woman. You don't even get sense. What I saw before was just the photocopy of you. The real you is out now. So a lot of things begins to come out by that time. Because life don't hit you. And sometimes when you're passing through stress, you're passing through one issue or the other. That's only when the real person will come out. The real person you married will come out. That's when you will not know, this person is this kind of person or is that kind of person. That is why you hear after 2-3 years, these people don't divorce, because they are not able to manage the situation, to understand that it's not it's not that sweet at all times. A while ago definitely coming, but the ability to manage it and understand that these are two different people, even though you have been united to be one, but at the same time, it's not going to really get easy at first. So if you don't take your time to understand each other very well, you go find and say, well, I don't there. Because this time, nothing to hide again. If the woman a gossip, the thing will come out. If the man are drunk, if na useless man, if whatever in character will come out, he will have nothing to hide again. He will have nothing to hide again. The woman will have nothing to hide again. So the real person you married will unveil. So before I leave, I have to advise you a little. Okay, now the truth about it is, this thing is normal, it's natural, That is why you need to marry somebody who have sense, Choose your partner wisely. Marry somebody who is sensible, who understands, who will understand the same way you will understand, because it will definitely happen, So when you marry a sensible somebody, there is nothing that both of you cannot solve, as long as there is communication, that is why I said you don't leave. Let's assume this person began to snore, or this person began to add weight, let your spouse not look somehow to you when something changes. Look for a way to manage the situation. Yeah, marriage is beautiful. It's not supposed, there are so many people are a manage and not marriage, but two of them works together. Marriage is manage, that's the truth, because there are certain things that you will experience which you will have to manage yourself into, even though you don't feel comfortable, but you have to manage with the situation to make sure that you make it work. So marriage is actually marriage, and marriage is actually marriage. Two of them works hand in hand. So as long as I'm concerned, the end point is marrying someone who understands exactly, who has the same, direction that you have, that wants this marriage to work. That is the only way you can experience peace in your marriage. Okay, I have to say this before I leave. When you're choosing a husband, make sure you choose a good father for your children. When you're choosing a wife, make sure you choose a good mother for your children, so that when the future changes comes, these 6 things that I've mentioned, when it comes, you will not regret of having the wrong mother for your children or having the wrong father for your children. My name is Oblinks. Help me like, share, comment, and follow me for more tips. One love.